Episode 112, Taking a Sick Day. "Get over here," Karen's mother Allison shouted as she slapped her hand down on the table. Karen was so startled that she jumped. "Alex," Karen said, glancing timidly at him, "those are my parents. You can leave if you want to." He simply smiled and calmly walked over with her to the table. Alex knew that if he left, Karen would be in even more trouble. And since he had already promised to help her get rid of James, this seemed like a good opportunity to achieve that. Her parents glared at them as they approached. "Why aren't you at work?" Allison demanded anxiously, pulling Karen to stand beside her. "What are you doing here?" "I called in sick," Karen whispered. Her parents had always been very strict, and even now, she was afraid to stand up to them. "What?" Allison asked, feeling anxious and angry. Her daughter should get back to work. "Didn't you tell me that your bank is undergoing some personnel changes and that you have a good chance of being promoted? And weren't you in line for a huge bonus? So why are you pulling a stunt like this? Do you care so little about your prospects?" "You're almost 30 years old," her father Albert said with a frown. "You can't keep relying on me and your mom." He looked at Karen and pointed at Alex. "You lied to your boss and to your family just to date this kid? Is it worth it?" Karen lowered her head as her parents scolded her. When her father spoke about Alex, she sneaked a glance at him, afraid that he would get angry. "Look at him! What did I do to deserve a daughter like you?" Albert raised his hand to slap Karen, but Zara and James stopped him. "Mr. and Mrs. Young, don't be angry," James said, trying to smooth things over. "Karen hasn't been caught, so there won't be any problems with her promotion or her bonus." "Not this time," Albert said, looking at Alex. "But if she doesn't break off contact with this kid, she'll definitely end up in trouble. At some point, her luck will run out and her boss will catch her." Alex was speechless. He hadn't even done anything. Karen's father was a weirdo. Karen just stood there, sniffling pitifully and feeling wronged. "Karen, you can't blame your parents," James said, standing and walking toward her. "They're just looking out for you." He put his hand on her shoulder to comfort her. "Get lost!" Karen yelled, violently pushing him away and glaring at him. "Why are you eating with my parents? I already told you there's nothing between us, and I was very clear that there is no way we will ever be together." "How dare you!" Allison said, standing abruptly and slapping Karen hard on her bottom. "Why shouldn't James eat with us? If it's so impossible for you to be with James, then who do you plan on dating?" Albert knew how important James was. His family was very powerful, and Karen was lucky to have caught his eye. James was the best choice for her, and yet his stupid daughter had rejected him. After her mother hit her, Karen's temper boiled over. She knew that her parents had urged her to be with James because of his wealth, but they didn't know that James was nothing compared to the young man they were insulting. She had made the right choice, so she wasn't going to back down. No matter how much her parents hated Alex right now, she was going to marry him. Then, when his identity was made known, they would know how stupid they had been and would understand why she was doing this. "I can make my own decisions," she said stubbornly. She glared at James and said, "I don't like you, so get lost. Stay away from me and my family." Karen's behavior stunned everyone present. James knew that Karen didn't like him, so he had intentionally chosen to use her parents to get closer to her. In the beginning, it had worked quite well, but now it seemed that her parents were unable to control her. "Karen, don't be like this," he said. "You're too emotional right now, so try to calm down. I didn't even know you'd be here. I just came to have lunch with your parents. It's not about you." "Yes, Karen," Zara chimed in. "I came with James, so I know he's not stalking you." "I don't care if you're stalking me or not," Karen said firmly to James. "I want you to get out of my sight and never bother me again." James, Albert, and Allison were stunned. Why was Karen behaving like this? What had this boy done to her to make her act this way? "Karen, are you really going to leave me for this damn loser?" James asked. He knew that this was all because of Alex. James was a rich man. So how could he accept losing out to a poor kid? He pointed at Alex and asked Karen, "How can he compare to me? I could buy you a house downtown. I could drape you in diamonds. Can he do these things? My family is old and powerful. What about his? In every single way, I am superior. So how can he possibly compete with me?" "Don't be impulsive," he continued. "Marriage is not a simple matter. He can't even give you the life you deserve, and he can't protect you. Don't be silly. Listen to me. If you come back to me, I'll treat you well." He reached out to touch her shoulder. "Get lost," Karen said. "It's none of your business who I choose to marry." She knew James wasn't listening to her, so she gave up. "Come on, Alex, let's go." She took his hand and turned to leave. "Stop," Allison ordered. She was furious with her daughter. "Don't you dare speak to us like that. The older you are, the worse your behavior becomes. Don't even think of leaving." Allison and Zara pulled Karen back. "Young man, you must have some good tricks up your sleeves," Allison said, glaring at Alex. "You've certainly fooled my daughter." Her eyes narrowed as she realized that Alex was the key to solving this problem. Alex grunted speechlessly. What had he done to have Karen's mother treat him like this? "Hey, do you really expect to marry my daughter?" Allison demanded. "In your dreams." She had disliked Alex from the moment she had first laid eyes on him. "You really think you're good enough for my daughter?" Albert asked angrily, coming to stand in front of him. "Well, tell us then. Why should we let you marry her?" He spat in Alex's face. "Why should I answer to you?" Alex asked. He was the heir of the powerful Ambrose family. So what right did these people have to question him? Who did they think they were? "Hey, listen to this kid," Albert said with dissatisfaction. "And he thinks he can marry my daughter with that attitude. Well, think again." "Uncle Albert," Zara said, "he can't answer you because he's a coward. But if he won't tell you, I will. I go to the same school as him." She wasn't sure why her cousin no longer cared about James, but she knew that she couldn't let Karen miss out on such a rich man. "At school, he's well known for being poor," she explained. "He wears the same few items of clothing all the time. Everyone bullies him and he doesn't dare to fight back. He works in a convenience store and in the school cafeteria. And once he even asked people for money in front of a restaurant." "He was asking for money?" Allison asked, shocked. If Karen stayed with him, it would be a disgrace. "Get out," she said, pushing at Alex. "Stay away from my daughter." "As Karen's parents were telling you now, we won't allow you to date her," Albert warned him. "So stop dreaming about marrying her. Do you hear me?" He pointed at Alex and said, "Do not harass my daughter again. Do you understand?" "Say what you like, but don't point your finger at me," Alex said. "Watch your temper," Albert said, eager to make his point. "I'll point at you if I like." He poked his finger into Alex's chest and added, "Don't go anywhere near my daughter again, you stinking loser." Alex could no longer swallow his anger. He pushed Albert, causing him to stagger and almost fall. "Don't you dare push my husband," Allison yelled, raising her hand to slap Alex's face. But Karen jumped in front of him, hugging him tightly, and Allison's hand smacked off the back of Karen's head.